What has been the impact of Brexit? A major study from the University of Los Angeles in California has shed new light on the long-term scars left by Brexit and austerity. In this video, we're going to deep dive into the findings of this study and explore how these factors have stifled economic growth, increased regional inequalities, and undermined the UK as a whole. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button to help the channel. So we're going to break them down into 4 parts: economics, regional inequality, society, and scandals. So what has Brexit done to the economy? I'm going to use the paper from California, but I'm also going to add in a bit of extra information from Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London's commissioned economic research into the effects of Brexit. First, let's talk about economic stagnation. Since the global financial crisis of 2008, the UK has struggled to regain its economic momentum. The study points out that austerity measures significantly reduce public investment, leading to long-term economic stagnation. According to the World Bank, the UK has lagged behind the EU average for capital formation, a critical measurement of investment, ever since 2020. This lack of investment has resulted in crumbling infrastructure, which we've all seen.
This is the state of the road here where I live in Barlow, and it's been like this for ages. People are smashing their cars up, and the other day there was an ambulance for the first time. My Ferrari can't go through here at all, so me and the boys thought we'd come and do it ourselves.
From NHS waiting times.
We've currently got 170 patients in the department, that's 170, quite a few. There are 90 patients waiting to be seen at the moment, that's 90 of you are still waiting to be seen. Our current wait time for a doctor is 7.5 hours. I will estimate that by the time I go home in the morning at 8 o'clock, some of you will still be here waiting for a doctor, because the wait will get up to 12 or 13 hours. I will expect that. There are currently no beds in the trust. We're trying to make some space if we can, but if people are admitted, there is a chance they might stay in A&E for the night. So we will make you comfortable, we will do our best, we will look after you, but please don't expect that you'll be going straight to a ward, because that may not happen.
To more potholes in the UK than there are craters on the moon, as well as a lack of affordable housing, with some statistics coming out even this week suggesting that some people are paying 60 to 70% of their income just on rent. In addition, the UK's GDP growth has been notably sluggish. From 2016 to 20, the UK's GDP growth rate averaged just 1.5% a year, compared to the average of 2.3% in the EU as a whole. This stagnation is partly attributed to the uncertainty and economic disruptions caused by Brexit. People from abroad and businesses don't want to invest in the UK when it looks completely unstable and slightly wacky and a hint of racism. And this is where Sadiq Khan's assessment comes in, because it claims that Brexit has inflicted $44 billion hit to the UK economy in 2020 alone. And that translates somewhere in the region of about £2,000 per person in the UK, but in London it's £3,400 per person. Khan states,
"The government's Brexit deal is the biggest threat to London's economic recovery from COVID-19.
What about the long-term economic impact? The study indicates that the UK's low productivity and stagnating GDP are major concerns. The stagnation after 2010, coupled with focusing on issues like Brexit, have overshadowed more complex and pressing domestic issues. As a result, infrastructure projects have been sidelined or, like HS2, stopped. And the lack of growth has left the UK with relatively high interest payments due to its high debts. Sadiq Khan's report further underscores these issues, noting that
Business investment has fallen significantly since the 2016 referendum, with the Bank of England estimating a 25% reduction in investment growth by the end of 2020.
And the bad news keeps on coming. There's been a decline in investment in the UK by about 20% between 2016 and 19. And that's when investment in many EU countries was on the rise. This decline in investment highlights the economic uncertainty and challenges posed by Brexit. Additionally, Khan's report points out that
Brexit-related trade barriers are estimated to have cost London $9 billion in lost exports.
And that was just in 2020. How has Brexit widened the gap between regions? According to the report, austerity measures disproportionately affected poorer regions, increasing the divide between the rich and the poor. And Brexit only made this worse. With the loss of EU funding that supported many of the poorer areas, the disparities have become even more pronounced. Northeast of England, for example, has seen significant decline in investment after Brexit, with some estimates suggesting that a reduction of $500 million annually in regional development funds since we left the EU. The Centre of European Reform estimates that at the end of 2020, the UK economy was 2.5% smaller than it would have been if the country had remained in the EU. This translates to an economic hit of around 45 billion a year, impacting jobs and livelihoods across the country. What the report doesn't talk about is Northern Ireland, and in contrast, Northern Ireland has remained in the EU single market for goods due to the Northern Ireland Protocol, and it's fared better to other parts of the UK. This unique position has allowed Northern Ireland to maintain stronger ties with the EU, linked to more stable investment and trade flows. The single market access has provided Northern Ireland with a competitive advantage, helping to cushion the region from some of the economic shocks experienced elsewhere in the UK. Reports suggest that Northern Ireland's economy has been relevantly resilient, with sectors such as manufacturing and agri-food benefiting from continued seamless trade with the EU.
Northern Ireland is in the unbelievably special position, unique position in the entire world, European continent, in having privileged access, not just to the UK home market, but also the European Union single market. Nobody else has that. No one. Only you guys, only here. And that is the prize.
While Northern Ireland benefits from its unique status, other parts of the UK are grappling with economic fallout, all because we left the EU. One of the more surprising inclusions in the Californian report is the damage that Brexit has done to social cohesion in the UK, and within that, political scandals. And if you'd like to see those political scandals in full, well, 90% of them, have a look at this video which I've made, link in the description. According to the report, both austerity and Brexit have literally undermined the fabric of UK society. Political scandals such as lockdown breaches have amplified public anger and eroded trust. So much so, this has actually led to near record low levels. Trust, in fact, is at such a low, it's at about 29%. That would mean that 71% of the British public do not trust the British government. But it's not all gloom and doom. Maybe we're going to have to address this, because the paper puts in recommendations on how to effectively deal with these problems. But have a listen. So essentially the paper suggests several things. It calls for increased investment in infrastructure and a serious focus on regional planning. Incoming government, most likely Labour, will need to adopt a course of correction to stimulate the economic growth and improve public trust. This includes abiding by strict rules on taxation and public spending to provide stability, reforming the planning system to boost housing and infrastructure, and investing in clean energy jobs. Interestingly, this is pretty much the exact opposite of what the Reform Party is offering. The study emphasises the need for disciplined leadership and governance reforms to address the long-standing issues that plague the UK. Further to that report, it even suggests that 1 million green jobs could be created by 2030, helping drive economic growth and possibly reducing regional disparities. But there is a caveat to this, because according to some economists, repairing the damage of Brexit is estimated to be about between 500 billion and 1 trillion over the next 10 to 14 years. This substantial financial requirement would necessitate a significant increase in taxes and public spending to cover these costs. The government may need to implement a mix of hikes in taxes and borrowing. Estimates suggest that taxes may need to be increased by 10 to 15% over the next decade to fund necessary investments and mitigate the economic damage caused by Brexit. This is going to be a challenging but crucial step to rebuild the economy and address the structural issues highlighted in the study. The other thing that the study misses out is the issues of 600 to 500,000 people a year leaving the UK, as well as the low birth rate. And the only solution to that seems to be immigration, and most of the major parties seem to be wanting to keep immigration at a low level, to such an extent it would have an economic deficit damage to the UK. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the report? Do you think it's missed a couple of things? I've added in my few 2 cents as well, including Sadiq Khan's report and my own thoughts, including that 1 trillion to fix the economy. Once again, thank you to all of my Patreon and YouTube supporters. You keep this channel going and growing. It really wouldn't be here without you guys. On that note, thanks for listening. Bye for now.